You're just not cut out for this job, Karen said, leaning back in her leather chair, a faint smile of satisfaction playing on her lips. The West Ridge Hotel project needs someone with stronger leadership skills. I stayed calm, even though her words stung like they always did. Through the glass walls of her office, I noticed our colleagues peeking over, curious about the conversation. The same West Ridge Hotel project where my redesign saved us $300,000? I asked quietly. Karen waved her hand, dismissing my point. My redesign? I pressed. I presented it to the board. After I created it, That's your job, Sophia, she interrupted, her sigh heavy with drama. To support me. Look, this isn't working anymore, she continued. I need someone who understands their place in the hierarchy. I nodded slowly, a surprising calm settling over me. I understand perfectly. I'll leave on Friday, but Monday will be interesting. Karen rolled her eyes, muttering under her breath, always with the cryptic comments. I am Sophia Vasquez, 49 years old, Senior Project Coordinator at Reynolds Architecture and Design. For 8 years, I've delivered innovative solutions for our clients' toughest projects. I love creating spaces that are both beautiful and functional, but even more, I take pride in staying on budget while exceeding expectations. Standing in my way is Karen Mitchell, 41, my direct supervisor and the firm's youngest partner. She has perfected the art of taking other people's ideas, especially mine, and presenting them as her own. Her rapid climb up the ranks was built on stolen credit and misappropriated designs. And now, she wants me out. Years of claiming my work as hers have culminated in this. Maybe I've become too vocal about recognition, or perhaps she senses that others are starting to notice the pattern. Whatever her reasons, she's made her move. Walking back to my desk, I passed the wall of project photos lining the main hallway. The West Ridge Hotel, the Pinehurst Community Center, the Lakeview Towers. All projects I poured my heart into, all labeled with Karen's name as lead designer. My phone buzzed. A text from David, one of our senior architects. How'd the meeting go? Karen looked smug. As expected, I replied. She's pushing me out. That's insane, David texted back. Your coastal restoration project just won an award. Her coastal restoration project, he typed. According to the press release, of course. I settled at my desk and unlocked my drawer, pulling out the external hard drive containing all my original designs, email chains, and documentation. Insurance I had started compiling months ago when Karen's actions escalated from credit stealing to actively minimizing my contributions. The phone rang. It was the receptionist. Sophia, someone from Archer and Hayes is in the lobby asking for you, says it's about the consultation you did for them. I froze. I'd never done work for Archer and Hayes, our biggest competitor. I'll be right down, I said. As I rode the elevator, a sinking feeling twisted in my stomach. This wasn't just about Karen taking credit anymore. Something else was happening, something far worse than I'd realized. I've spent 27 years in architecture and design. I started as a drafting assistant in New York, working my way up through increasingly complex projects while raising my daughter as a single mother. My portfolio grew from residential renovations to commercial complexes, eventually specializing in sustainable public spaces. 8 years ago, Reynolds Architecture and Design recruited me from a smaller firm in Philadelphia. The promise? A leadership role, creative freedom, and resources to pursue innovative, sustainable designs. For the first 4 years under our previous creative director, I thrived. My coastal restoration project, a series of community spaces built with reclaimed materials designed to withstand severe weather, became the firm's hallmark. Then Karen arrived. Hired originally as a project manager, she quickly ingratiated herself with Harold Reynolds, our aging founder. Her strategy was meticulous: lavish compliments, strategic lunches, weekend invitations to her Catskills cabin. Within 18 months, she secured a partnership, the youngest in the firm's history. At first, I admired her ambition. Her presentations were polished, her client interactions smooth. She seemed genuinely interested in my designs, often stopping by my desk to discuss concepts. I took it as mentorship, maybe even friendship. The warning signs had shown up slowly, almost imperceptibly at first. Collaborative presentations would omit any mention of my contributions. Projects I had initiated were suddenly reassigned, with Karen taking direct control. In meetings, she began interrupting me, twisting my ideas as if they were hers. Sophia had an interesting starting point, she'd say, but I refined it into something more practical. Harold, nearing retirement and increasingly disengaged, seemed impressed by her confidence. The other partners, mostly men over 60, reacted the same way, charmed by her carefully crafted image, competent, yet just different enough from their own experiences. My colleagues started noticing the pattern. David from the architectural team once whispered, "Did she seriously just present your riverfront concept as her breakthrough idea?" Even our receptionist, Jenna, quietly supported me, stamping my original designs with timestamps before filing them, a silent gesture of solidarity. I kept going, believing my work would eventually speak for itself. When our coastal project won the Regional Design Excellence Award, I expected at least a nod of acknowledgement. Instead, Karen accepted it alone. Her speech didn't mention me once. That night, I began backing up my work, saving emails, documenting my design process with dated entries. Not to confront anyone, just for peace of mind. Looking back, I realize now how naive I was. Karen wasn't just opportunistic, she was methodical. Every stolen concept, every appropriated design was a calculated step in her career. I had become both her greatest asset and her biggest threat without realizing it. Our working relationship had settled into an uneasy rhythm. She took credit, I produced more work, growing quietly resentful, but avoiding confrontation. Until yesterday, when she requested my complete portfolio for archival purposes, there was something in her expression, a mix of entitlement and calculation, that finally set off alarm bells. Later in the lobby, a well-dressed man in his 50s extended his hand. "Ms. Vasquez, James Donovan from Archer and Hayes, thank you for meeting me." I kept my tone measured. "There must be some misunderstanding. I've never consulted for your firm." His brow furrowed. "That's strange. We have preliminary designs for our Portland waterfront project that were attributed to you. Karen Mitchell shared them last month, saying you'd provided consultation." My stomach sank. The Portland waterfront, a $50 million revitalization project that could transform the city's harbor district. I had sketched concepts for it after hours, purely as a creative exercise, never intending to share them. "May I see these designs?" I asked, forcing my voice to stay steady. He pulled out his tablet, displaying the renderings. My renderings, but with subtle alterations. The core concepts were unmistakably mine: elevated green spaces linking historical buildings, flexible areas designed for seasonal flooding. "They were presented as collaborative work between your firm and ours," James explained. "We were very impressed. In fact, we've incorporated several elements into our final proposal." The room seemed to tilt around me. Karen hadn't just stolen my work internally. She had been selling my ideas to our competitors. "Who else has seen these designs?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Our entire executive team," James replied, "and we've already presented them to the Portland Development Commission. They were very excited." He paused, studying my expression. "Is there a problem?" "I need to check something with my office," I said. "Would you excuse me for a moment?" In the restroom, I leaned against the wall, letting the reality sink in. Karen had taken my personal sketches, probably from my computer when I stepped away, and presented them as collaborative work with a competing firm. The ethical breach was staggering. Even more disturbing, this explained her sudden push to push me out. If these designs were moving forward with Portland officials, she needed me gone before I discovered the theft. My phone buzzed with a meeting notification. "All staff, special announcement, 3 p.m. today." Returning to my desk, the office buzzed with activity. People whispered in small groups, casting concerned glances my way. David stopped by, lowering his voice. Harold is flying in for the meeting, he said. Something about a transformative partnership with Archer and Hayes? I guessed, and his eyes widened. How did you know? James Donovan is downstairs, with my designs, for the Portland waterfront. David blinked in confusion. Your designs? Karen's been working on Portland for months. It's what's getting her promoted to creative director, I said, the final piece of the puzzle falling into place. Karen wasn't just pushing me out. She was stepping into a role created specifically for work she had stolen from me. I opened my email to find a message from HR detailing my transition package. They weren't even waiting until Friday. Karen had accelerated my departure to today. My hand hovered over the external hard drive in my drawer. It held everything. Original files with metadata proving my authorship, emails, documentation of my design process. Enough to expose Karen's systematic theft. But would anyone believe me? She had spent years cultivating leadership support while isolating me. It would be her word against mine, and she had already painted me as underperforming and resentful. I closed the drawer without taking the drive. I needed time to think, to plan my next steps carefully. This wasn't just about credit anymore. It was about ethics, potentially legal matters, and my entire career. The conference room filled quickly for the 3 p.m. meeting. I chose a seat near the back, ignoring the whispers and glances. Karen stood at the front beside Harold Reynolds, looking triumphant in a tailored navy suit, the one she reserved for major presentations. Harold cleared his throat. Today marks an exciting new chapter for Reynolds Architecture and Design. We are announcing a strategic partnership with Archer and Hayes for the Portland waterfront revitalization. On the screen behind him were the designs James Donovan had shown me earlier, now branded with both companies' logos. This collaboration, spearheaded by Karen Mitchell, represents the innovative thinking that drives our firm forward, Harold continued. Karen's vision for Portland has already impressed city officials and secured preliminary approval. Karen stepped forward, beaming. Thank you, Harold. This project exemplifies our commitment to sustainable urban renewal. She clicked through my sketches, explaining concepts I had developed during countless late nights as if they were her own ideas. Each slide felt like a knife twisting deeper. To lead this new initiative, Harold announced, I am pleased to name Karen our new creative director, effective immediately. Applause filled the room. Karen accepted the promotion with practiced humility, thanking Harold for his mentorship. Her gaze briefly met mine, a flicker of warning in her eyes. When the presentation ended, I approached Harold. Could I speak with you privately about the Portland project? Of course, Sophia. Let's use my office, he replied. A spark of hope flared. Harold had always been fair, even if somewhat detached. Maybe he'd listen, especially with proof of Karen's misconduct. But Karen intercepted us in the hallway. Harold, we should discuss the transition plan for my role. And didn't you have that call with the board at 3:30? Right. Yes, he said, checking his watch. Sophia, can this wait until tomorrow? He asked. It's regarding the origin of the Portland designs, I said firmly. Karen's smile tightened. Actually, Harold, that reminds me. There are some concerns about Sophia's performance I've been meaning to discuss. Harold looked between us. She continued listing alleged issues, resource allocation, missed deadlines, and some confusion about project ownership. Her implication was clear. She was framing me as the one with ethical problems. Let's address this now, Harold decided, gesturing for us to enter his office. For 20 minutes, I listened as Karen methodically undermined me. She presented doctored timelines suggesting I had claimed credit for collaborative work. She cited performance issues that had never appeared in any of my reviews. Worst of all, she implied I had accessed her computer and copied her Portland concepts. That's completely untrue, I finally interrupted. I have proof that— This isn't productive, Harold cut me off. Karen has documented her concerns thoroughly. Given these issues and the restructuring around our new partnership, we think it's best to accelerate your departure. You're terminating me today without investigating her claims? I asked, disbelief and fury warring inside me. Karen produced a folder. Your separation agreement, standard terms, 2 months severance. We'll need you to clear your desk by the end of the day. I stared at the document, rage building. And if I dispute this? Harold's expression hardened. We have documentation of performance issues going back months. Fighting this would only damage your professional reputation. We both understood. Karen had been building a case against me, manipulating records to create a narrative of incompetence. Even with my evidence, a legal battle would be messy, public, and could end my career. I understand, I said quietly, taking the folder. Karen smiled, feigning sympathy. I'll help communicate this transition to the team. As I left Harold's office, my phone buzzed with a new email notification. Subject, Portland Waterfront Project, confidential, from an address I didn't recognize. I opened the email to find detailed information about the Portland project's upcoming phases, timelines, budgets, stakeholder contacts, and a message. You should see this, not write what they're doing to you, a friend. For a moment, I considered forwarding it to Harold as proof of my involvement. Then I realized this wasn't help. It was a trap. Sharing confidential project information after being terminated could allow Karen to accuse me of corporate espionage. I cleared my desk methodically, packing personal items under the watchful eye of an HR representative. The external hard drive with my evidence went into my bag first. Family photos, design awards, and the small succulent my daughter had given me followed. 8 years of work reduced to a single cardboard box. I'm sorry it ended this way, Jenna whispered as she hugged me goodbye at reception. We all know what really happened. Thank you, I said, touched by her support. Take care of yourself. Outside, I hailed a cab and sank into the back seat, letting the reality settle in. My career at Reynolds was over. My reputation could be in jeopardy. 8 years of work appropriated by someone else. My phone buzzed with texts from concerned colleagues. I silenced it, needing space to think. The separation agreement weighed heavily in my bag. 2 months' salary in exchange for my silence and a legal admission of inadequate performance. Generous and insulting. At home, I poured a glass of wine and opened my laptop. First, I backed up all my evidence to a secure cloud account. Then I began researching my options, taking notes on employment law and intellectual property rights. A knock at the door interrupted me. Through the peephole, I saw David, looking worried. I came to check on you, he said when I opened the door. Things happened so fast today. I invited him in, grateful for a friendly face. Karen had it all planned, I said. The termination, the partnership announcement, her promotion. It's worse than you know, David said, accepting the wine I offered. After you left, Karen told everyone you'd been stealing her designs for months. She implied you were sharing confidential work with competitors. I nearly dropped my glass. She's accusing me of exactly what she did? She showed emails, Sophia, David said, grim. Messages that looked like they came from your account, sending designs to outside firms. That's impossible, I said, a horrible thought forming. When did she say these emails were sent? David thought for a moment. Last month, mostly while you were on vacation in Vancouver. I realized it. She had access to my computer. She must have used my email account. That makes sense, David agreed. But she presented it convincingly. Even people who like you were starting to doubt. I felt sick. Karen hadn't just stolen my work and fired me. She was systematically destroying my professional reputation, making sure I couldn't challenge her version of events. There's something else, David said hesitantly. A rumor that Archer and Hayes might hire you as a consultant after your non-compete period. What? Why would they? Then it hit me. That was her insurance policy. She was setting it up to look like I had sold my designs to them all along. David nodded grimly. If you take any action against Reynolds, she'll use that narrative to discredit you. After he left, I sat stunned, processing the elaborate trap Karen had constructed. She hadn't just outmaneuvered me. She had planned multiple moves ahead, anticipating my potential responses and neutralizing them before I could act. My phone rang, an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Ms. Vasquez, James Donovan from Archer and Hayes. I wanted to follow up on our conversation. Mr. Donovan, I can't discuss anything related to Reynolds or the Portland project. I'm no longer with the firm, I said firmly. Actually, he said, that's precisely why I'm calling. Our leadership team was impressed with the concepts Karen attributed to you. We'd like to discuss a potential position. It was confirmation of exactly what David had warned me about, the job offer that could cement Karen's narrative of my betrayal. I need to consider my options, I replied carefully. Can I call you next week? After hanging up, I opened my laptop and began systematically searching 6 years of email correspondence with Karen, hoping to find anything that might help my case. 3 years back, in a folder of project communications, I found it. An email chain I had completely forgotten. Karen, seeking my input on a struggling project, had explicitly acknowledged my authorship of the coastal restoration design. Need your magic touch on this one, she'd written. The kind of innovative approach that made your coastal project such a success. It wasn't just proof of my work. It was Karen, in her own words, confirming that I was the true creator of the award-winning design she now claimed as her own. With renewed determination, I spent the weekend building my case. That email was just the beginning. I went through my archives, constructing a timeline of Karen's appropriation of my work. By Sunday night, I had compiled a detailed dossier, original design files with metadata proving my authorship, email chains showing the evolution of concepts Karen later claimed, performance reviews contradicting her claims of inadequacy, and testimonials from former clients who had worked directly with me. Monday morning, I prepared to take action. My plan was straightforward. Submit a formal complaint to the Reynolds Board of Directors, including all evidence, then consult an attorney about potential legal claims. As I reviewed my documents one last time, a new email appeared from Harold Reynolds. Sophia, concerning developments have emerged regarding the Portland project. Need to speak with you immediately. Available to meet this morning. Hope flared. Perhaps Harold had discovered Karen's deception on his own. I responded, agreeing to meet at a nearby coffee shop at 10 a.m. Harold arrived looking haggard, the confident firm leader replaced by an anxious older man. Thank you for meeting, he began. I'll be direct. After our announcement, Portland officials requested additional background on the design concepts. They were impressed with the innovation and wanted to feature the designer's process in their public materials. I waited, sensing what was coming. Karen couldn't answer their technical questions, he continued. When pressed, she became evasive. One official recognized elements similar to your work on the coastal restoration project and asked specifically about your involvement. And what did Karen say? I asked. Harold grimaced. She claimed you'd been her mentor, guiding her understanding of sustainable design principles. Despite everything, I laughed. Her mentor? She's been taking credit for my work for years. I'm beginning to see that, Harold admitted. Portland has paused the project pending clarification of design authorship. Our partnership with Archer and Hayes is in jeopardy. Why tell me this? I've been terminated, I reminded him. Because Karen insists you have the original files that could resolve this issue. She's claiming you took them when you left. The audacity was breathtaking. Even now, Karen was manipulating the situation, trying to force me to hand over my evidence. I have the original files, I confirmed, along with proof that they're my work, not Karen's. Harold leaned forward. Sophia, the firm's reputation is at stake. We need to resolve this quickly and quietly. Reinstate me, I said firmly. Full position, clear my record, remove Karen from any project involving my designs. That's not possible. Karen is already announced as creative director. Then I'll take my evidence directly to Portland officials and to the architectural press. Harold paled. You'd damage the entire firm to get back at Karen. I'd ensure proper credit for my work, I corrected. The damage to Reynolds would be collateral to Karen's actions, not mine. As we reached this impasse, my phone buzzed with a news alert. Archer and Hayes announces withdrawal from Portland Waterfront Partnership. I showed Harold the headline. His face fell. It's already unraveling, I said gently. You have one chance to control the narrative before this becomes a public scandal. Harold stared at his coffee, clearly calculating options. What exactly do you want, Sophia? He asked. A public acknowledgement of my work. Karen removed from any project involving my designs. I want to present my Portland concepts to the city officials personally. And the termination. I haven't decided yet, but I won't sign the separation agreement. Harold nodded slowly. I'll need to consult with the board, but the Portland situation requires immediate attention. As he left, 2 new emails arrived, one from James Donovan at Archer and Hayes. Portland officials requesting clarification on design authorship. Would value your direct input on concepts Karen Mitchell presented. Another from a Portland city planner, reaching out directly regarding waterfront revitalization concepts, questions about sustainable elements in the design. While Harold deliberated with the board, the situation was slipping beyond both his and Karen's control. The very clients Karen had tried to impress with my work were now reaching out to me directly. For the first time since my termination, I allowed myself to smile. Karen had built her career by taking credit for others' work. Now, her inability to explain the designs she claimed would expose her fraud to everyone who mattered. Tuesday morning arrived with a sense of inevitability. After several discussions with Portland officials and Archer and Hayes executives, I agreed to a joint meeting at Reynolds' office to clarify the design authorship. I dressed carefully, projecting confidence without ostentation. The external hard drive with my evidence went into my bag, along with printed copies of key documents. This time, I was fully prepared. The conference room fell silent as I entered. Harold sat at the head of the table, flanked by 2 board members. Representatives from Portland and Archer and Hayes filled one side. Karen sat alone on the other, her usual poise replaced by tense vigilance. Thank you all for coming, Harold began. We're here to address questions regarding the Portland waterfront project designs. Karen immediately tried to take control. I'd like to start by expressing my disappointment that confusion has arisen about my work. While Sophia contributed some initial feedback, the concepts were entirely... Actually, I interrupted, connecting my laptop to the projector, I think it's better if I demonstrate. For the next 20 minutes, I methodically presented my evidence. Original design files with timestamps predating Karen's creation by months, process documentation showing the evolution of concepts, and most devastatingly, emails where Karen herself acknowledged my authorship. As you can see, I concluded, these designs represent my work, developed independently and without authorization from Reynolds after Karen took my previous coastal restoration project concepts without attribution. The Portland officials exchanged glances. These are precisely the technical details we've been requesting, one said pointedly to Karen. Details you weren't able to provide. This is absurd, Karen protested, her voice rising. She's manipulated those timestamps. She's trying to sabotage me because she's jealous of my promotion. Actually, the Archer and Hayes representative interjected, our technical team has verified the metadata. These are unquestionably the original files. Furthermore, Harold added quietly, our IT department has confirmed unauthorized access to Sophia's computer during her vacation last month. Karen's face drained of color as her carefully constructed narrative collapsed. Harold, you can't possibly believe, she began. I think it's time for you to leave, he interrupted firmly. Karen's downfall was swift and comprehensive. Escorted from the building that afternoon, she left behind a trail of fabrications that unraveled as soon as people started asking the right questions. The board meeting that followed was decisive. Harold, attempting to salvage the firm's reputation, announced my reinstatement and promotion to creative director. Portland officials, impressed by my original concepts and detailed knowledge, requested that I personally lead the waterfront project. Most satisfying was the company-wide email Harold sent the next day, publicly acknowledging my contributions to Reynolds' award-winning projects and clarifying that the designs Karen had claimed were in fact my work. I underestimated you, Harold admitted privately. I should have listened when you tried to tell me what was happening. Yes, you should have, I agreed, unwilling to absolve him too easily. 8 years of my work had been attributed to someone else while he looked the other way. His chastened expression confirmed he understood the magnitude of his failure. 1 month later, I stood before the Portland Development Commission, presenting my refined vision for the waterfront. The project was back on track, with Reynolds and Archer and Hayes collaborating under my direction, a partnership that now acknowledged all contributors properly. Karen, meanwhile, had become a cautionary tale in our industry. After 3 other designers came forward with similar stories of appropriated work, her reputation lay in tatters. Last I heard, she had left architecture entirely. As for me, my career entered a new phase. The spotlight I had long avoided now felt less intimidating. I established clear protocols for design attribution at Reynolds, mentored younger staff, and finally received the recognition my work deserved. Was it worth it? My daughter asked one evening over dinner, celebrating my first major project launch as creative director. All those years of someone else taking credit? I considered the question, remembering Karen's dismissive words that fateful day. You're just not cut out for this job. No, I replied with a smile. But the vindication at the end, that was definitely worth waiting for.